Hello, this is Mr. Jarrett, and in this video tutorial, I'm going to be taking you through the Hole Types or Hole Wizard tool demo. Okay, so I have this presentation here that takes a step-by-step right through all the directions. So I'm just going to kind of be going back and forth between these two. The first thing that it says to do is obviously open up the Hole Types demo file in SolidWorks. So I'm going to pull this to my other screen, and in SolidWorks, we're going to go File Open. And you're going to have to search and find your TechDraw 2 folder, and you should have a folder called Demo Files. Okay, so in your Demo Files folder, you're going to have a file, obviously, called Hole Types Demo. So it looks like this. So I probably have showed you this in person. I actually have this realistic board created so that I can pass it around the room and you can kind of see what it looks like and whatnot. But we are just going to be using this object that I already have. It's basically like a 2x4 with a sketch, and some of these sketch points are already shown. To use those sketch points to actually put in the different hole types. Okay, so slide number 2, or slide number 3 here, but the second step of directions says, use the Hole Wizard tool to create the holes with the specific measures, okay, or measurements. And you can see that I gave you kind of like a drawing file. So this would be a side profile with all the hidden lines, the top profile with all the different measurements and readouts. And I also wrote that the settings are on the next slide. So I'm going to be following each one of these. Okay, as you can see, we go through, we have a through hole, then a blind hole, then a countersink, a counter bore, a threaded hole with using what's called the shaded cosmetic thread. So this is like a fake look. One that actually uses the real threads. It cuts into wood, which isn't too realistic. Normally you thread into metal. You can thread into wood, but it wouldn't be realistic for this. And then just one that I show you how to make a flat bottom instead of a pointed bottom. Okay, so the next thing says hole setting for number 1 is this. So this is within inside of the Hole Wizard. Okay, so obviously you're going to be selecting the Hole Wizard and you're going to be doing this. So we're going to do this first setting and we're going to follow these directions step by step. So again, I pulled this to the side. I'm going to be on my Features tab and hit Hole Wizard. And the first hole, it says we are going to do a drilled hole. So this is the third setting as far as the different hole options. Okay, and if you scroll down, we want to be on ANSI inch, okay, not anything else here. I don't know what a lot of these actually mean, but ANSI means America National Standards Institute. So we are on ANSI inch. And it doesn't really matter what you have for the type. You can change this to fractional size. Honestly, it does not matter because I like to check the box for show custom sizing. Now, you can most certainly do all of these different holes without the custom sizing, but the nice thing with always checking this box is it gives you these pictures. And with the pictures, it's much easier to read and understand what you're actually doing. Okay, so I always like to check these boxes. So for the very first one here, it actually says that we need ANSI inch, the show custom sizing selected. This measurement here is a 1/2 inch. And I don't have a degrees on mine because the end condition, right now my SolidWorks has the end condition as blind. Well, we want it to go to through all. Okay, so when you change it to through all, there isn't an end so that you can put it degrees. Okay, so that's all good. Do make sure, because I don't necessarily always have this in the pictures, do make sure that you don't have anything selected here. Sometimes SolidWorks does have one of these automatically checked. I haven't really found an instance that we use this too much in our classes, but this is an option. You can actually put a countersink on the opposite side, which I kind of find strange. So don't have anything selected here. Then you need to go over the Positions tab, and this says that you need to select a face for the hole or slot position. And it says to create on multiple faces, you're going to click 3D Sketch. Well, you can't actually select too much anyways here. I mean, you can select this face right there, but if you hit 3D Sketch, then it's asking you where you actually want to place this. And since I put those points on there already, if you just click on that first point, it locks in. And then you can hit the green check. So that's how you would make just a simple through hole. Now, that is a little bit different than just drawing a circle and extrude cutting it, because it actually gives you the hole measurements, okay, like the actual hole readouts when we would to do a drawing file. Okay, so that was number 1. Next one, we're going to be making a blind hole. So same setting here, and we're just going to be once again following these settings. So hole wizard, we have that one. Scroll down, ANSI inch, sorry. Custom sizing selected. Change your end condition to blind, and it says that we need 118 degrees. Okay, that's just a common Brad point bit here. And if we scroll down, make sure your second option is selected, and we want this to be to 1.5 inches. No checkbox in the options down here. Go to position, 3D sketch, and once again, click up on top. So this time that hole kind of stops right here. It's blind. It does not go all the way through. The third type of hole is a countersink. So again, hole wizard. And now if you move your mouse over these, you can kind of see that the second option is the countersink. Okay, and if you get this warning that comes up, it's basically saying, since we did custom sizing, do you want to reset the custom sizing? I check this box and I hit reset custom sizing value for the new hole. Okay, so that box won't come back up now. So again, if we scroll down for this one, the difference here with these two that you do have to change, still ANSI inch, but the flathead screw, there's 100 or 82. So these are common measurements as far as the degrees of your countersink. 82 is probably the most common. I think 100 is more or less used in very tiny screws, and that's for like electronics where you only have a shallow countersink head. So we're going to be using the 82 because that's normal. This stuff doesn't necessarily matter because we have the custom sizing selected. And then just reading right down through the measurement, it's pretty easy. It's 0.5, 1, and 82 degrees. And again, if you're wondering where I'm getting these numbers, this all cycles back to this original page here. Okay, and the original page actually has everything read out for you. So a 1/2 inch through, 1 inch for the countersink, and 82 degrees. Okay, so that's what we have here. Okay, 1/2 inch through, 1 inch countersink, 82 degrees. And if I change the end condition, this is actually a through all. Okay, go to the position and 3D sketch, and we're going to put that countersink at the third position and green check. Okay, so now we're on to hole 4, and that's going to be the counter bore. So the counter bore is this first option here. Okay, again, if you have that warning, which hopefully you already checked this, I'm not checking that, so I can actually have this warning that pops up so I can tell my class of what to do in case they don't watch this video. And if we scroll down here, again, doesn't really matter of the type or any of this stuff. You just need the box for show custom sizing. And we can read right down through the measurement. So it's 0.5, 1 inch in diameter, and 1 inch deep. Okay, and the end condition is through all. Position in 3D sketch and place that on the 4th spot. And green check. So now we're on to the 5th hole here. And this one is the tapped hole. So once again, hole wizard. And on here you can see there's one that has these little dotted lines, those hidden lines. That is your straight tap. Okay, so we want to change to the straight tap. And you'll see that there's different types. So there's the bottoming, the straight pipe tapped hole. We just want the normal tapped hole here. And as far as the size goes, once again, you can do the show custom sizing, or you can just set it right here because this one is pretty easy. We are actually looking at the 1/8 or a 1-8, sorry, 1-8. So this is obviously a rather large size. This isn't very realistic here. So I'm going to uncheck the box for show custom sizing. End condition, we want to set this to blind. Okay, and again, I have this second option selected. I'm setting that to 1.5 inches as far as the depth goes. And if I scroll down for the threads, same thing here, that's already set for me in this last measurement. Now, if I scroll way down, you can even set the thread class, and we have that set to 2B, just like the measurements say on the picture. Position, and we're going to go to that 5th one. Green check. Okay, so from here, you kind of ran out of dots. So if you look at my directions, the next slide actually tells you how to turn on those shaded cosmetic threads. So this says that we're going to go up to the options button. That's the little gear symbol up at the top. Switch the tabs to the document properties. Select detailing and then check the box for shaded cosmetic threads. So let's do that here. Let's go up to the gear, document properties, detailing, and check the box for shaded cosmetic threads and press OK. So you can see these are fake. They're not realistic. It puts a line out here saying, hey, this is what it would actually be tapped into or cut into. But that is very fake looking. It's not extremely realistic. It's just a little graphic on there. Okay, so down here in this empty spot, we're going to be putting in 2 more holes. One of them I'm going to show you how to do a flat bottom. One I'm going to show you how to actually do real threads, so you can see the difference between the cosmetic and the real threads. And I'm also going to show you how you can edit a sketch or edit the placement of these holes if you don't already have these dots like I gave you. So now we're on to slide 10. Slide 10 says for the hole setting for the 5th hole, okay, we are actually doing 2 of them. So it says they're blind holes, 2x. So we're going to do the exact same thing for the last 2. We're going to put 2 of them in there, okay, and we're just going to follow these measurements again that I have placed for us. So hole measurement, or hole wizard, sorry, and we are on to the 3rd option here, just the normal blind or drilled hole. Scroll down. I have the show custom sizing selected, and we have 1 inch. This time we're setting it to 180 degrees, so it's a flat bottom. Okay, blind as far as the end condition, and we want this at 1.5 as far as the depth goes. Okay. Position, we're going to hit 3D sketch, and here you notice that we don't necessarily have a dot for it to lock onto. You can move it right over that line, it'll kind of make a coincident to that line. So we're going to put 1 there and then 1 roughly in this area, and we're going to hit the green check. Okay, now those holes are underdefined. So if we come over here and we hit this drop down, you see how there's a negative sign next to that sketch. That sketch is actually just the points. Okay, you can even see for the other ones, those are actually fully defined. This one has that negative sign, meaning it's underdefined. So if I pull the directions back over here, you can see that I kind of tell you that we're going to hit that drop down and we're going to right click and edit the underdefined sketch just like it says. We're going to press Control 7 so we get to a nice isometric view, and we're going to smart dimension as seen in the picture. So it goes from this dot to that dot, and that's 12, and then from this dot to the end is 14. And then we'll return from the sketch. So over here, let's right click and edit this underdefined sketch. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, hit Control 7 so it goes to a nice view. Get my smart dimension tool, make sure I select this dot and the first blue asterisk. We're going to set that to 12. We'll do that again. Go from that first dot to the second little asterisk or work point there, and this is going to be 14. Okay, so it'll push down a little bit. Then we're going to hit return from sketch. Now going back to our directions, this time it says we are actually going to be using the thread tool. So it says click the drop down under the hole wizard tool. We're going to be selecting the thread tool with the thread location edge box selected. Click on the top circle of hole 6. So that's going to be this top little circle here, and then we're going to change to these following settings. Okay, so I'll come back over here, and I do want to show you this before we kind of go any further. So these are those cosmetic threads. We're going to be putting the realistic threads here. This other hole, if you're wondering why we put that in there, that's just to kind of show you that that is a flat bottom versus the one over here, which is a pointed bottom. Okay, so this one right here, we are going to be changing. This one we're already done with. Okay, so for this, it says go to the hole wizard, hit that drop down, select thread. And with the thread location edge, so thread location, and this is the edge, which is already selected. See, it shows you to click on the end of a cylinder. We're going to click this top cylinder here. Okay, and then scrolling down, we have to change some of the settings. Some of those settings that actually says to go into the end condition. So the end condition, we're going to have blind, if yours isn't already like this. Mine's probably like this because I've done it before. 1.5, okay, inch die. And here we want a quarter 20. That's like a standard measurement for threads, quarter 20. And coming down at the bottom, when you're using the thread method, you actually have two different types. You have the cut threads or you have extrude threads. So when you are cutting, that is going to be on something that's external. Okay, this is an internal hole, so that is going to be the extruding thread. So the threads are actually going to be popped out because the major diameter here is going to be the inside piece. Okay, in this case, because it's an interior, and that is going to be the quarter inch that we need there. So extruded threads, and if we scroll down even further, I have right hand thread selected. And we can hit the green check. And now we have realistic threads, as you can see. Okay, now this looks a lot better when it's into metal because it's more realistic. Wood, you wouldn't necessarily do that. But to finish this thing up, it actually says now we can view the inside. So if we select the section view button, that's this one, select the front plane for section 1 and hit the green check, you can actually see what these all look like. So I'll zoom out a little bit, maybe hit Control 7 so that I have a better view. And that section view is right here, this little panel of buttons. And the front view is this first option here. If yours isn't already defaulted, you can select that and hit the green check. And this just temporarily put a cutting plane through the middle, so we can now admire or look at the inside of all of these different holes that we created. So you can see how they actually look. Here's a brad point. Here is our countersink, counter bore. Here's one with cosmetic threads, which looks very fake. Here's one with real threads, and you can see how those are actually cut in there, which looks very realistic. And this is a flat bottom. Okay, so that is the hole types demo or hole wizard demo.